All right, we're ready to go. So today, we are moving along with solving systems. Today is elimination day 1, lesson 4. So now we're going to be solving a system of equations using the elimination method. So, our big concept today, solving systems by elimination by adding equations. So the big goal, I'm going to underline that. The goal of the elimination method is to completely eliminate one of the two variables by having it cancel out when adding the two equations together. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking to cancel out. That's what elimination is all about. We're looking to cancel out a variable. So we have 5 steps that you guys are going to need to follow. Some of these steps are going to seem familiar to you because some of them follow what we did with substitution. So our first step is to identify the variable to eliminate. Now you may be wondering, how do I know which variable I'm going to eliminate? You need to look for variables with the same number and opposite signs. So you want to look for variables that have the same number but opposite signs. And what I mean by opposite signs, one positive, one negative. Okay, so we want to look for something. Here's an example. 2x plus 3y is equal to 9 minus 2x plus 4y is equal to negative 6. So as you can see here, my x, it has the same number, 2, but one is positive and one is negative. So we would be eliminating the x first. So that's what I'm talking about with identifying which variable we're going to eliminate. Then we're going to eliminate the variable by adding the two equations together. So literally, you guys are going to be, we're not going to solve this one, but you guys are going to draw a line and an addition sign, and we are going to vertically add the equations together. Then whatever variable is left, which would be y here, then we're going to solve for the remaining variable. Once we solve for the remaining variable, now this is where, what we did previously with substitution. We're going to take what we solved for, plug it back into an original, and solve for the final variable. And then finally, just make sure, write your answer as a coordinate point xy. That's the big thing you need to remember because that's how Delta wants you to have your answers, written as a coordinate point xy. So what we're going to do is I'm going to do 2 examples with you, and then you're going to do one on your own. All right. These first ones, as long as you are careful with adding, because there is going to be quite a bit of negative signs on some of these problems, you'll be okay. You're allowed to use a calculator. So just be careful when you're adding with negative signs. All right, let's go. Let's do this first one just step by step. So first, identify the variable to eliminate. So our 2 equations are negative 6x minus 9y is equal to negative 42. And then 6x plus 5y is equal to 10. So what we need to do is I'm going to highlight the variable that has the same number, but opposite signs. So if I look here to my y's, 9 and 5, those are not the same numbers, so I'm not eliminating my y's. Look at our x's, 6 and 6. Awesome, it has the same number. The top one is negative. The bottom one is positive. Great. That ticks off opposite signs. So we are eliminating the x's. So that's just the first step, is just identifying what we're eliminating. Next, we add the equations together. And it's vertical adding. Now, what's nice is, because we are eliminating the x's here, you do not have to write 0x underneath. No, we're eliminating them. So they're gone. So we do not have to write 0. But now for this guy, there's still a negative attached to this 9. So we have negative 9y plus 5y. So negative 9 plus 5 is negative 4y. And then negative 42 plus 10 is negative 32. All right, I want to pause here before we continue. So that was the first 2 steps of elimination. Are there any questions about those 2 steps that I did? Please let me or Miss Bushnell know if you need me to pause or stop, or you need something clarified, okay? I won't know unless someone speaks up. I do my best to try, but again, if not brought to my attention, I'm going to keep going. All right. Now, what's nice here is we now need to solve for y, but it's a really nice 1-step equation. All we have to do is just divide by negative 4. And we get y is equal to positive 8. So we've solved for one variable. Now it's time we need to solve for x. So you get to decide which of the originals that you want to plug into. Personally, I like to plug it back into the equation that has the least amount of negatives in it. I don't like working with negatives if I don't have to. So I'm going to take this y equals 8, and I'm going to plug it into the bottom equation, the original bottom equation. So 6x plus 5y is equal to 10. So we have 6x plus 5 times 8 is equal to 10. Now we have to simplify the 5 times 8. So we have 6x plus 40 is equal to 10. Now we have a 2-step equation, solve for x. So we're going to subtract 40 from both sides. 6x is equal to negative 30. And then divide by 6. And we get x is equal to negative 5. Now, we haven't fully completed this problem yet, because if we go back, our final step is write your answer as a coordinate point. So now we write as a coordinate point. Remember, x is listed first. Our x was negative 5. And then our y was 8. And there we go. So I'm going to pause here. If you have any questions, type into the chat. As I said, we're going to do this one together. And then the third one I have, you guys are going to do on your own. So we're going to do this one together and then the third one on your own. All right. So now our second one, 3x minus 10y is equal to negative 46. And then 8x plus 10y is equal to 24. Into the chat. Which variable should I eliminate, x or y? So which variable has the same number but opposite signs? Excellent. Good job, Daniel, Vayman, Paula. We are eliminating the y this time. So we're going to add them together. The y's will cancel out. 3x plus 8x is 11x. And then negative 46 plus 24 is negative 22. Divide by 11. And we get x is equal to negative 2. So now we have x, we need to find y. So we're going to plug it into one of the originals. As I made mention previously, I like to plug it into the equation that has the least amount of negative signs in it, because that's just how I work. So I'm going to plug x equals negative 2 into the bottom equation. Oops, sorry about that. So we have, now be careful, we're plugging into x this time. So it needs to go with the 8x. So we have 8 times negative 2 plus 10y is equal to 24. 8 times negative 2 is negative 16 plus 10y is equal to 24. And again, we just now have a nice two-step equation. I'm going to add 16 to both sides. And we get 10y is equal to 40. And then finally, divide by 10. And we get y is equal to 4. And then finally, make sure we write it as a coordinate point. All right, so those are the two ones that I did with you guys. The next one you guys are going to do on your own. I'm going to scooch this up here in just a moment. All right. So here's the one that you are trying. So you divide by the number that you plug into the problem, like 8 times. So no, you're not going to divide. You multiply 8 times 2 to get negative 16. And then we move that to the other side by addition or subtraction. The number you're going to divide by at the end is going to be what's still attached to the variable that's left. So here we're dividing by 10 because that was the number that was still left on the y. Does that make sense, Vayman? Oh, okay, good. Yeah. Thank you for the clarifying. Yep. So yeah, you'll always be moving whatever you simplify here by either adding or subtracting depending on if it's positive or negative. All right, guys. So what I want you guys to do, we'll do this in 2 parts. So I want you guys to take about 2 minutes to find the first variable. Then I'll find the first variable with you, and then you'll finish it, okay? So take about 2 minutes to find the first variable. If you want to continue to finish the problem, feel free to, but 2 minutes for you guys to try this one on your own. About 1 more minute. At least I think I forgot to set a timer, so I'm just going by what my clock is saying. All right. So hopefully you've at least found the first variable. So here I see I have 3y and minus 3y. So they're the same number, but opposite signs. So we're going to eliminate them. So then we add 3x plus x is 4x. 3y plus negative 3y cancels. And then 42 plus negative 42, or not negative 42, 42 plus negative 22 is going to be 20. And then divide by 4. And you should have gotten x is equal to 5. If you got something different, check my work and see what you might have done. So now what I want you guys to do, pick which equation you want to plug in 5 into and solve for y. Like I've been saying, I don't like negatives. So this time I'm going to plug it into the top equation because there's no negative there. So 3 times 5 plus 3y equals 42. So you guys take about a minute or two. Oh, Braylio, you have a good question. Braylio asked, why is it 42 plus negative 22 instead of 42 minus 22? It's the same thing. It's the same thing. I'm purposely saying 42 plus negative 22 because I want you guys to make sure you realize we're adding here. So that way I don't want you guys to now, just because there's a minus here, think it's going to be subtraction. So 42 plus negative 22, if we were to write that out, 42 plus negative 22, we can actually simplify it to 42 minus 22. So both are correct. It's just when we get to more complicated elimination, I just want to make sure you guys realize we're adding here. Okay, so it's just it's a longer way to say the same thing. So does that help with your confusion? Okay, good. Thank you for asking. All right, let's finish out this problem. 3 times 5 is 15, plus 3y is equal to 42. Subtract 15 from both sides. 3y is equal to 42 minus 15 is 27. Divided by 3. And we get y is equal to 9. And then, don't forget, coordinate point. There we go. Now, we still have a little bit more notes to do, but so far, how are we feeling about elimination? Are we feeling good? Are we feeling okay? Is it better than substitution? Good. Braylio and Daniel, I'm glad to hear that you guys are doing good and great. Vayman, thank you. It's all right. Thank you, Paula. Now, I have to challenge you guys somehow with these notes. So we're just going to kind of just turn it up by just a smidge. We're going to turn it up by just a smidge for this next part. Hopefully it doesn't scare you guys away too badly. All right. So something that you guys are going to see in tonight's homework is, what if the signs are not the same? Meaning your numbers are still the same, but now your signs are either both positive or both negative. So if your numbers are the same and they are also the same sign, meaning both are positive or both are negative, then we need to multiply one whole equation by -1. This will now give you opposite signs, and now we will be able to add them together. You may be wondering, which equation do I multiply by -1? You pick which one you want to multiply. All right, it's completely up to you which one you would like to multiply. Personally, I like to pick the equation that has the most negatives, because remember, when we multiply a negative by a negative, it turns it positive, and we love working with positive numbers. So that's how I decide. So we're going to do 2 together. Or actually, I think we can do 1 and then you guys do the other. We're kind of running a little short on time. So I'll do 1 and then you guys will do 1. All right, so this one here, we have 6x minus y is equal to 25, and negative 4x minus y is equal to negative 15. So as you can see here, my y's are the same number, but they are both negative. So we need to multiply one of these equations by negative 1. Because I notice that the bottom equation has a lot of negatives, that's the one I'm going to multiply. So we're going to multiply this guy by negative 1. And the whole thing, the left and the right, everything gets multiplied by negative 1. So, what you can do, and what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to switch my signs here. Negative 4x becomes positive 4x. Negative y becomes positive y. And negative 15 becomes positive 15. So you're just making everything opposite in one of the equations. So now we have opposite signs. Now we just do everything we have been doing today for elimination. We add them together. So now it's 6x plus 4x. So that's 10x. The y's are now canceled out. And now it's 25 plus 15, which is 40. So everything after you multiply an equation by negative 1 is exactly what we just learned with our other examples. So now we just divide by 10, and we get x is equal to 4. Now, for this one, when we go and plug it back in, plug it into the equation you left alone, okay? So since we multiplied the bottom by negative 1, I'm going to plug into the top. So plug it into the equation you left alone. At least you don't have to, but that's kind of my rule of thumb to make sure I'm plugging it back into an original, is plugging it back into one that was left alone. So we have 6 times 4 minus y is equal to 25. 6 times 4 is 24. Minus y is equal to 25. Now we just solve for y. We're going to subtract 24. Now, be careful with this one because this negative is still attached to the y. So it's still negative y is equal to 1. And because there's a negative still on this y, to get rid of it, just divide by negative 1. Oops, not x. Y is equal to negative 1. So we have 4 comma negative 1. So as I've been mentioning, these problems are almost exactly the same. You just have to take an extra step at the start. You guys just have to take an extra step at the start. All right, this next one will be our last one. We're gonna kind of do like, I will start it and then give you guys time to finish it. But for this one, which variable has the same number on it, x or y? Good, x. So we're going to be eliminating the x. But before we can eliminate, we have to multiply one equation by -1. I noticed that both of them have the same amount of negative signs in both equations. So I'm going to leave it up to you guys. Do you guys want me to multiply the top or the bottom by -1? All right. Vayman was the first one. We're going to multiply the top by -1. So this 5x is now going to become positive. This 9y is now going to become -9y. And this -32 is going to become +32. Sorry, Daniel, Vayman beat you to it. If you want to try this, Daniel, by multiplying the bottom one, you can. We'll get the same answer. So if you want to try that, feel free to. All right, guys, I'm going to let you guys take over. Add those together and solve for y. So take a minute or two, add those together and solve for y. All right. So let's check to see if you got the y. And this one, again, be careful because we do have negatives here. Remember, this 9y is now -9y plus -3y is -12y. And then 32 plus 4 is 36. Divide by -12. And we get y is equal to -3. And now we're going to take this -3 and I'm going to plug it into the bottom one because that's the one we didn't multiply. So we have -5x minus 3 times -3 is equal to 4. So I want you guys to finish. Solve for x. All right. So -3 times -3, we're going to have -5x plus 9 is equal to 4. Subtract 9. -5x is equal to -5. Divide by -5. And look at that, that's nice. X is equal to +1. Again, we list x first in our coordinate point. So 1, -3. All right. So there we go. I know if you printed out the notes, you may be like, Mrs. Wood, we still have a problem left to do. Because of time, and we only have about 13 minutes left, I want you guys to do that one on your own, and then check the work when I upload my notes later today. Now, if you don't print out my notes, you may be wondering, what extra problem are you talking about, Mrs. Wood? I'll show you. First off, I'm going to stop recording.